Hey, this is Seth with In Demand Career. I show people how to get life-changing jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And that includes my very special guest today, Jaden, who was working as a security guard at General Motors, having just graduated from college with a political science degree. He was very unhappy, stressed out, and unfulfilled in this job until he found my course. He hustled very hard, and within 3 months, he got his first digital marketing job working remotely, making $60,000 a year. I'm very excited to share his story with you. Thanks for being here, Jaden.
Oh, hey, Seth. It's good to be here.
Great, man. So why don't you tell people a little bit about the job that you have right now?
Yeah, so I landed a paid search position, and right now it's been pretty good. I've been there for about 3 months. I would say it's exactly what I thought it was going to be. You're going to work with people who are all interested in what you're interested in. You're going to have people who are upbeat. They're going to be trying to make money with marketing. They're all passionate about it, and it's really been good. I really enjoy what I'm doing. I have a direct impact, the amount of money that they're making, and it's been great.
That's so awesome, man. So you're managing Google ads and for different types of clients?
Yeah, so we're running Google ads for a handful of clients, not too many like some of the other people that I've seen, but we're focused on like 3 or 4 big accounts right now. And then I also have my hands in paid social, which is cool. I like that, doing a little bit of Instagram and TikTok. I get to see what they're doing behind the scenes.
That's so awesome, man. And I know you mentioned people were upbeat, and that's we're going to talk about that in a second. What your previous job was like before that, and then just to clarify, what are you making at this job?
Yeah, so I'm making 55 base, and then we'll have bonuses, which I already know we're going to hit because we got the best performing team, just search. And so I'll be on track to make 60.
That's so great, dude. And the job it's fully remote, right?
So right now it's hybrid remote. So we go in the office like 2 days a week, but for the most part, it's pretty laid back. Like if you need a, you know, day off or something comes up, then you could just, work remotely for that day.
Well, that's awesome, man. I mean, I said whether a job is hybrid or fully remote, just having that kind of flexibility, as we're going to talk about, and obviously was very different than most other jobs or the previous job that you had. And you're making a really great salary for a first digital marketing job. So obviously people are going to want to know, how you got to this position. So what were you doing? What was going on in your life when you first found the course?
So I was at my security job, and like security, it's pretty laid back. So you got a lot of downtime. And I was going down YouTube, just watching random, like I always watch business and marketing and all kinds of videos. And I came across this one channel, and they're talking about one of the best skills is digital marketing. And they didn't mention like Google ads or anything, but they just kind of brought that up. And I think it pointed to Shane Hummus's, or it might have been your course directly. So I looked at it. I saw I think it was a webinar. It was like 45 minutes long. It was like, this is exactly what I've been looking for. I had tried and thought about like social media managers, SEO stuff, but I didn't think that was like a career until I saw paid search. I'm like, oh my God, that just makes sense. Like they need people to run these Google ads. You can make a direct amount of money for the company. It just made so much sense to me. I went all in at that moment.
Yeah. So you really hit the course hard, which I think is awesome. But just give people a little bit more background. You had recently graduated college, and what did you major in?
Yeah, so I graduated May of 2022, got a political science degree, but I honestly had no intention of working like in politics or anything related. And I just found it like kind of boring and cut and dry. And so after college, my plan was to kind of like network and find a job, but I didn't see it as like a sustainable way. Like you're just going to ask somebody for a job and expect them to give it to you. So I knew I needed something like more concrete, and I always had this interest in marketing.
Yeah. So just to kind of clarify what you said, it's a really good point. It's a lot of college grads, and then you hear this buzzword all the time. Oh, it's all about networking and who you know. And that's just nonsense because, your network is important to an extent, but your skill set is the most important thing. That's what I learned, back in the day, back when I went to film school. I went to a really prestigious film school, but it was like nobody cared if you couldn't do the work, if you didn't have the talent, if you didn't have the ability. So, you come out of college, like you said, you went to a decent college, you had maybe a good network, but you're just kind of then asking, please give me a job. I don't know how to do anything, but, take a chance on me to do a job I don't know anything about. And, then you ended up, working security at General Motors. And what was it like working at that job?
I swear it was like, it wasn't even, I was working part-time, but it was probably the most exhausting atmosphere I've been in. Like it was just constant complaining and like this micromanaging over stuff that wasn't even like relevant. I'm like, why do you guys care about this so much? And where I'm at now is like, you have so much more autonomy. Like you feel like, oh, you're an actual human and you're making an actual impact. Where at the security job, it was like, oh, you're just someone else. You're just security. And now it's great. Direct impact. Hey, we made this amount of money for the company. We did this much for it, and it's great.
That's awesome, man. And, that's really good to point out that contrast. But again, so now let's go to, again, how you got from being in security to this particular job. And I know you had a pretty quick, you came in with a ton of energy and focus. And I remember you said you got the course around Halloween 2022, like early November, late October 2022. How you got hired in January. So like, what was the process like of taking the course and getting into interviews and, learning all this stuff from having no previous knowledge of it?
Yeah. So the first thing I did was just quit the job. I already knew if I quit the job, go full time on this, I'll be able to make the money back within my first month. Did that. And then I guess the process was I hammered the course. I went through the course in probably like the first week. I know your instructions were not to do that, but I did it anyway because I was just hungry for this job. And I would say the big thing was seeing people in the course have success, like seeing people show up every single week saying, hey, I just landed a job here, or hey, this is going great for my project, that kind of stuff. That really drove me to do all the assignments, do all the outreach to potential clients and generating my own experience. And then everything on LinkedIn. So creating a killer LinkedIn profile, doing all the applications and everything that came along with it. That's really what got me through there.
That's
Just
awesome.
being like just being a student, really.
Yeah, and that's awesome. It's when people take the course, when I try to tell them that, I said you could go through the course in a week if you do it properly, if you don't skip things, if you don't rush. That's the main thing. But if you're hungry, and that's the other thing for most folks, have another job or have school or something else in their life, if you've cleared everything out, which I don't recommend people quit their jobs unless it's your responsibility, and I think it's awesome that you did it, then you have the focus. And if you can make it your full-time job to learn digital marketing, then you can go through it a lot faster. And that's, when I was starting out years ago, that's what I did. I was on unemployment for a while I was learning this. So I was spending 12, 14 hours a day learning digital marketing. So I think it's great you put that much focus and energy into it. You did follow all the assignments. You fed off the energy of the community, which I love the community for the course. I love that it helps inspire and support people. And then you started applying. Now, this is really interesting because you where do you live and where is your current job right now?
Yeah, so I'm in Michigan, right in like 45 minutes from Detroit. And my job is only like, I would say like 30 minutes at the most, usually like 20-minute drive.
So this is really interesting for you because I always tell you guys, when we're doing those walkthrough videos, that there's small cities in the US where there's just not a lot of talent around. I said there's not a big supply of people with this skill set. So I'm sure from you telling me that, I'm like, dude, what's the name of the city where the company is in Michigan?
Birmingham.
Birmingham, Michigan is not a big city. I'm sure when they saw your resume, they were very excited. Obviously, they ended up hiring you. But come back to that. What was the application and interview process like? Like you seem like a confident guy. What was it like making those first applications? And did you get, how were the responses? How did you feel about the whole thing?
So while I was doing this, I would just, wake up and set a plan to sit at my table for, I don't know, like a couple hours, 4 hours, and just work on creating applications and tailoring my resume. And I really fine-tuned the process after, just like free shooting out a bunch of resumes and coming up with the best approach. I even sent some 2-pagers, which I know you said not to do. But after I did all of this trial and error, I feel like I came up with the perfect LinkedIn approach. And so I came across a recruiter, gave them my resume. It was able to land me the interview just based on all this trial and error. And then during the interview, this is what secured the deal, best part of the story. The morning of the interview, I went and took the mock spreadsheet and then tailored that to the specific company that we were going to work for. And I showed it to them. I was like, hey, this is what I got. This is what I've been working on. And they were like, wow, this is just amazing. And it was like all the people that had done it before me, it blew the employer's mind. And they hired me not even the next day, the same day. So within like 5 hours, I got a call back from the recruiter, and they were like, "Hey, they were blown away." And I was like, "Wow, it must have been the spreadsheet."
Yeah, it was everything, it was your ability to talk. I'm sure you talked freely and very enthusiastically about paid search, right? They wanted to make
definitely
language, right?
Yep, I was just talking their ear off, and they even came to the point where they're like, "Dude, you got to stop talking because this interview is going to be like an hour long." And
Okay.
yeah, maybe not like that, but they're like, "Okay, yeah, we get it. You know what you're talking about."
That's awesome, guys. And that's great, dude. I mean, and for people watching, that kind of enthusiasm, you're better off annoying people with enthusiasm than, giving a 2-word answer. That's why I teach you guys to nerd out to this stuff. And the spreadsheet assignment, again, guys, I tell you, it's so powerful to it showcases your initiative and your knowledge. And again, I'm positive that these guys, look at how quickly they hired you in this case, within the same day. They were probably looking, because it was a hybrid job, they're probably looking for local candidates. And I always tell you in the walkthrough to say, look, this is the situation these companies are in. They're in a small town. There's very little talent nearby. If they hadn't found Jaden, I would put a bet on the fact that they would have to make it fully remote, because they'd be like, there's nobody in Michigan, in Birmingham, Michigan, that has this knowledge. But it worked out. You live 20 minutes away. And that's why they jumped on you. They were like, we got to get this guy immediately. There's nobody else.
Yeah, I looked at the competition. I'm like, these people don't have all they have is a marketing degree. Like, that doesn't even make sense to me. And so I knew.
You're using LinkedIn Premium?
Yeah, seeing some of the local people, and I was like, there's nothing that they don't have that I don't have or can't acquire.
Right. So you mean the skills, just to clarify for people who don't know. So in my walkthrough videos, I do sample job postings, and with LinkedIn Premium, it gives you the option of seeing the top skill sets of all your competitors. And the thing I show you over and over is that most people applying to these digital marketing jobs do not have digital marketing skills. And that's what you're saying, right? Like they have maybe, I don't know, like leadership, communication, or like other non-soft skills, things like that.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So I show you that, guys. So I want you to feel more confident. I want you to understand your value by having these skills, but I also want you to understand that your competition isn't so bad. Because I know a lot of people get imposter syndrome and they don't feel so confident. You got look, guys, you're not playing against the hot, you're not going up against people with 5 years experience and millions of dollars in ad spend experience. You're going up against like recent college grads who don't know anything. And that's, obviously the case here. Do you remember, I'm just curious, how many applicants did you see on that job when you applied?
That one, I want to say is probably close to 200. I had applied for some before that, but they were in like the thousands. I had one that was like 1,500, and I ended up getting an interview for that just based on my communication, demonstrating my knowledge. But this one was like 200, I think.
Wow, that's guys. This is like real person example of stuff in those walkthrough videos. I'm telling you, that's amazing example. Another job, 1,500 applicants, and you got an interview. You didn't get the offer, but you got the interview, and said, that's part of the process. It's very impressive to even get an interview when you see that many applicants. And the job you ended up getting had 200 applicants. So don't be intimidated. Don't be intimidated. Use Jaden as an inspiration of what's possible. So why don't you tell people, what was it like when you got the offer? How did you feel? And, did you tell your family about it? Like, how did it go?
I honestly thought I blew the interview. Like I had that feeling. I like to think like worst case scenario possible, just me. But then the recruiter sent me a message and he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I was like, "Why's the recruiter texting me? Like he already got me the interview." And so he hopped on the phone with me and he was like, "So how do you think the interview went?" I'm like, it was all right, probably like 50-50. And he's like, "Well, they were blown away, man. Like we want to make you an offer." And so I got the offer and I was like, "All right, let me review it. All right, looks good." Told my parents and they were like, "Oh, wow. So that course you had really, it was actually worth it." I'm like, yeah, it was worth it. That was the whole point. And I knew this was going to happen. Like I wrote it down on paper. I told myself, "Hey, this is going to be my thing." And it happened. They were excited too.
That's awesome, man. You're so that's so funny, guys. I think it's very relatable though. Everybody, you're gonna deal with your negative self-talk, no matter who you are. I deal with it. Every successful person still has this, voice in their head. It's just how you relate to it, and if you let it stop you. And you didn't let it stop you. And you even said in the interview, if they did tell you, like, hey, we need to cut you off because you're talking too much, I can see why any person, I would have been like, man, I screwed up, I said too much or something. But clearly it wasn't the case. You're always going to be harder on yourself than the other people are. And I think I appreciate you sharing that for all the people watching. So like, yeah, when you go into your interviews and you think you did bad, you probably did not. More than likely. And I've had other students say the same thing, like, oh, they didn't think, they didn't know if it was going to work out, and it obviously worked out. So, and I'm happy that your family, was happy about it. I know they were questioning the fact that you quit your job to focus on the course. So that's exciting. How did you feel when you started on your first day? Like, was it exciting? Were you intimidated? Were you nervous?
Yeah, it was definitely exciting. It's a really upscale office, and I don't think my boss was there at the time, so I came in like really early, and I was just like looking around. I'm like, "Oh, what am I supposed to do?" And then over time, it just like, it kind of eases in, and you see that they're really nice, really likable, and it's been really good. It was a bit of a learning curve. You can learn the stuff from the course, but it's always going to be different when you go and apply it. And so I'm glad I, took the time to hammer down everything in the course, because a lot of those basics just went right over to the job. And then I just learn and apply everything each and every single day.
That's awesome, man. And getting into that, people always want to know, like, so you came in with your base knowledge from the course, you demonstrated your knowledge. That's why they wanted to hire you, but then they want to train you because now you're going to be dealing with live accounts, a lot more money. You came in with, you hadn't managed thousands of dollars in accounts. What was the training process like? Did they did you feel nervous? Were you able to ask questions? Like, how did that go?
Yeah, they definitely encouraged me to ask like as many questions as possible. And we have a small team, so it's really easy to feel comfortable getting more training and, trying to do your best that you can. As far as like budgets and stuff, I was so surprised. They told me I was going to manage like $200,000. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. But now it's like, that's cake. That's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And how long, like, are you how long from the day you were hired, like, did it take for you to be managing that? They didn't hand it to you on day one, right? Or did it take, was it pretty quick, or how did that go?
Yeah, it was definitely a build-up process. So I didn't start managing that fully till probably close to a month and a half. I would say a month and a half in. That's
Yeah,
when I actually felt comfortable too.
yeah. It's so great, man. So, guys, this is what it's like. It's still like this. And it's like, that's still very quick, in the grand scheme of things, to go from new hire to a month and a half managing that much money, and you guys remember that they're not going to throw that money at you on the first day. You can relax. They're going to give you the training and support. They want you to ask questions. But this is the situation that these agencies are in. No matter what you're reading about in the news, it's true. The economy is slow. Tech is in trouble, all the tech jobs, but marketing and advertising is still very strong because people are still out there buying stuff. And these companies like this agency is exactly what I talk about. They had $200,000 in ad spend and nobody to manage it. That's their predicament. You got to remember that when you're applying, that they have a bigger problem than you have. You need a job. They need $200,000 of ad spend managed. That's a lot of ad spend. And that means those clients are paying them a lot of money. And if they don't manage that ad spend, they're going to lose all that client money. So they need you, is the point. And they needed Jaden, and now he's part of the team, and he's learning, and he's getting paid to learn, essentially. And it's awesome. So yeah, and what's how, I was curious, like, how has this impacted your quality of life? Are you making more money than you were at your previous job, and how does that feel?
Yeah, so I'm making probably like double. And then as far as like career path, I now actually have a career path. I can say I accomplished this with quantifiable numbers at X company, and I can take that and use that as leverage. And whether I stay in paid search, I already know that I'm going to still be involved in digital marketing. If I want to do paid social, I might move over to paid social, but I feel that I have a good understanding of these principles, and I can navigate throughout the digital marketing space really well.
That's awesome, man. And that's a good point too. As I tell people, it's like, it's one of the reasons why I teach you guys a little bit of everything. I want you to feel comfortable enough. You're not stuck in paid search or SEO, or if paid social means like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, TikTok obviously is an up and comer. And you have the ability to switch. And I've had students jump, some people go from paid search to SEO. Some people get focused on analytics. You have options. I think that's the biggest thing you're speaking to. That's exciting. Anyone watching this, I'm like, what is the biggest difference it made for my students and for myself when I got this skill set? Having options. That's something most people do not have in the workforce. They're like stuck in X job. You're like, dude, I could go here. I could get more training on this. And you're just at the very beginning. I mean, and how old are you?
21.
Yeah, 21. Just got out of college, man. And I'm very excited to see, how your career is going to unfold. And on top of that, I mean, you were working, I wanted to mention this before we finish the interview. You have this flexibility in the job. So it's hybrid. So you're working from home and in the office, right?
Yep. Yeah. So it's 2 days in the office and then usually 3 days remote. But if you need a extra day or so, you can go fully remote. But yeah, I think being hybrid is a good stepping stone. It just shows that, hey, you can work at home and you can work in the office. So for my future jobs, I'll probably go fully remote, to be honest, and do a little bit more traveling, get my work done, of course. And I do like that flexibility.
Absolutely, man. And I encourage you guys, said in your first job, remember, it's a stepping stone. So if it's not the perfect, if it's not fully remote, it's hybrid, or if you have to move to a place to work it, just get that experience that goes on your resume. Then, your next job, you have even more control. But even so, I mean, just having a hybrid job, these things didn't exist so much a few years ago. And honestly, when I was working, I always liked going into the office like a little bit. Not every day, but just to see people is cool. And then just having that flexibility. How is that flexibility compared to your previous job as security guard? Like, did you have flexibility?
It's so much better. I think part of digital marketing too is that since you're a skill worker, you just have to get the task done and make sure the clients are happy. It's not a constant, like, you need to be monitoring something. You just need to make sure it gets done. And so that gives you so much more flexibility, especially if you're working from home, you can, handle other stuff and still get your work done.
Yeah. You speaking of that, this is the problem most people have in other jobs, and it's a leftover from the school system, right? Because in school, you're like 8 hours a day, you're like under, you're being controlled and told how to spend your time. And in digital marketing, I've heard it again and again, you're treated like an adult. It's simple. Did the job get done? Did you get did you deliver the results to the client? Is the client happy? Done. Whether it took you, if you're a fast worker, if you're a slow worker, you did it at Starbucks, sipping a coffee, or you did it in the office, who cares? Whereas at most other jobs, they're like, you got some supervisor that's looking at you. Oh, what, did you take your bathroom break? Oh, you already took one, oh, you can't take time off. You got to go to the doctor or something. You got to, do a request for that. And you're not treated like an adult. So, if you're in a job or a situation like that, you don't have to take it. As you said, when you get the skills that are in demand and are, valuable, then it gives you more leverage and more options to have a more flexible work-life balance.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. You are doing so awesome, especially considering that you're just starting out. And I appreciate you taking the time to share your story with us. I'm sure it's going to inspire a lot of people. Can people reach out to you on LinkedIn if they have any questions?
Yeah, definitely. I talked to a ton of the guys from the course and everything, but yeah, definitely message me on LinkedIn or wherever you find me, Facebook, Instagram. I'll be happy to answer your questions and show you the way.
Awesome. That's really great. I appreciate that. It's one of the things I love about the course is that people always want to give back. And if you decide to sign up, you're going to be part of a very welcoming community. So is there anything else you want to say to me or anybody who might be watching the video thinking about taking the course?
I would say, if if it's the thing that you want to do, you love digital marketing, you see everything related to it, you just go all in and, don't have any regrets, put all your time into this and you're going to see results. You can never fail at something if you don't stop trying. So, it's just you just gotta do it. If you feel like it's right, do it.
Awesome, man. It's really great, simple advice. It's true. I will say that, like, people have asked me about success rates and things in the course. I said, listen, I can't think of a single student who, if they kept going and they kept asking for help and they didn't give up, they get results. I've never seen that. It's usually somebody ends up, if you stop, you kind of stop yourself. So you really have control over this. And it can take different amounts of time and the amount of focus and energy you put into it is also a factor. Like the fact that you hit the ground running and put all your focus into this. And I've heard it so many times in different interviews where people are like, yeah, I was doing this job and that job, and then I didn't pay attention to the course. And then like this year I took it seriously, and then they get a result. So you're a really great example of that. So yeah, man, thanks for the advice. Thanks for sharing, your experience with everyone and being available. Yeah, man. And do you have anything else you want to say before we end the interview? Anything you want to say to me or anybody else listening?
I just want to say thank you, Seth. I wouldn't be in this situation without, your guidance and the course and everyone in the community. So I really appreciate what you've done for me.
It's my great pleasure. I'm very happy to see you have the success, and I look forward to seeing what you're going to do down the road.
Definitely.
Yeah. So it was great chatting with you, and we'll stay in touch and we'll talk soon.
That sounds good.